With this webinar, we're going to cover the basics of the Dotegy portal and the services available to you. The principle with Dotegy is that you can take as much or as little as you require. So this webinar is about the basics. So let's start by logging in. What we have here is a vanilla system that is completely empty. You can see the dashboard behind is empty, and we've been immediately presented with the interactive help system, which is available on every screen to guide you through the process of how to use a service. We'll return to this screen in a short while, but let's start with the portfolio management menu option on the left-hand side. This left-hand side menu is where you can find all the Dotegy functions, the more advanced of which are covered in further webinars. On expansion of this menu, you can see the following options: list domains, register, TMCH, DPML, groups, supplier price list, upload, manage portfolio. In general, once you're up and running, the first 5 menu items are probably where you'll spend most of your time. But as this is an empty system, we're going to start by uploading our current portfolio. After all, Dotegy cannot analyze what it doesn't have. So let's click on Upload Manage Portfolio. You'll see immediately our page guide icon in the top right. So if you need help, click here. The page guide highlights relevant sections of the screen and informs you how to use the options available to you. The first box we have allows us to select a file and upload a portfolio of domain names. You can use this to reset the system at any time, as it wipes everything clean and starts again. Once you've uploaded your portfolio, perhaps you just need to add some new domains you've registered recently. That's the box to the right, and accepts multiple names. Beneath this, if you have any, you will see a full list of domain names for your portfolio. Let's start by uploading a pre-prepared list. I don't have a large number of domain names in my portfolio, but there is no physical limit to what you can provide to Dotegy. So if you have 6 or 6,000 domain names, the only thing that changes is the duration for Dotegy to analyze this portfolio for the first time. Right, so we've picked a file, now we're going to upload it. At this point in the background, Dotegy is off doing its magic. We can decide to wait for this to finish, or continue to use the other functions quite happily to provide more and more information to Dotegy. The more you put in, the more you get out. Let's go back to our menu and pick Supplier Price List. Why is this important? Well, if you want Dotegy to provide you with a value for your portfolio, the renewal valuation with your supplier or suppliers, it needs this. Later, when using the portfolio strategy functions, valuations can be compared against other service providers, so you can see the potential cost if you decide to switch or split your portfolio. Again, we have a prepared list for this example. It's a simple list of extension and prices. If you don't have this information at the moment, you can simply request it from your service providers. You should be able to upload this at any point. Back to the menu and up one item to groups. One of the most important functions for portfolio management, here you'll find 3 predefined groups for you to start immediately using. These are always highlighted in a different color from any groups you've created yourself, and their names are protected so you cannot change them. Main is every name in your portfolio. You cannot add or delete names from this group, it's done automatically for you. Critical, the most important names in your portfolio. This is where we will tell Dotegy the names we simply cannot afford to have a problem with. They must renew, the DNS must work all the time, they must be protected with whatever mechanisms are available. The cost of the loss is large. We're going to go ahead and add a couple of domain names to this group. Defensive. Domain names you've purchased but maybe not for active websites, but to block someone else from misusing your name, product or brand. Perhaps there is something defamatory in the name, such as ihatedotegy.com. Let's put one of our names into this group as well. At this point, we're going to create a new group of our own choosing. Let's click Create New Group. Give this group a new name, let's say Comms. And then select just the .coms in our portfolio. Done. You can click on any of these groups and see the complete list of names, change the name for the group, or add remove names on a continual basis. Let's go back to our menu and pick the next option, DPML. This allows you to upload the strings, the part in front of the dot, that you've registered as domains protected marks list. This allows Dotegy to do two things. Firstly, to check that you have a valid TMCH as well, which is a prerequisite for a DPML. Then to match the DPML against your critical domain names. And finally, when considering a new GTLD, if it is covered by a DPML block in the first place. So that's one of the fundamental questions. Should I block, buy, monitor, or ignore? In the case of a DPML, you've already answered that question, you're blocking it. Back to the menu again, and we'll pick TMCH. On the right-hand side, you have an explanation of what you can and cannot register as a string with the TMCH. And like DPML, you can upload the list of what you've registered. In both TMCH and DPML cases, the registration date is quite important to Dotegy as well. It can notify you when you need to think about renewing these services or the exposure you will have if you decide to let it expire. List domains pretty much does what it says. It lists out your portfolio with captured whois information and allows you to then utilize the groups you created to view just specific parts of your portfolio. All this information is downloadable should you need to work offline or share the information. And that brings us to the final option, register. Well, if you've decided you'd like to invest in a new domain name, this function allows you to check if the domain is currently available, what your current supplier will charge you for this, remember supplier price list, and compares prices against other suppliers configured in Dotegy. We'll perform a test here for an extension. I currently have a .com and then for a new extension. But in both cases, we currently have fictional prices for 3 suppliers configured, Askio, Gandhi and Crazy Domains. So that's the last part to our webinar. Let's take a quick look at that dashboard that we passed on the first on the way in. Whilst I've been working adding data, Dotegy has been looking up whois information, doing DNS lookups, and it provides us with a dashboard that allows us to add widgets so we can see that information at a glance, management information. Clicking on the drop-down shows SSL providers, any domain names with non-resolving DNS, a profile of the extensions we have in our portfolio, the most registered strings, registrars, companies, addresses, email information from the whois, the duration of any SSL certificates that have been looked up, expiring certificates we have, domains on holding pages, domains expiring. And as you use the other more advanced services such as brand protection, eBay monitoring, dynamic charts are created for you as well. Right here, we're going to create our own widget for SSL providers. And we'll go ahead and add a couple of others. You can drag and drop these widgets around, expand their information, see the function they are referring to in more detail, and this information is refreshed for you automatically and it's saved in its position. As new widgets are released by Dotegy, they're automatically added for you to use in this list. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to the Dotegy portal and services. Thank you.